Hello everyone. On the table is a very old Notifier fire alarm control panel. This is an MD-8, otherwise known as the Notifier mini fridge. These panels were produced for a time in the 1960s and 1970s. These are conventional, relay-based fire alarm panels that used plug-in modules to accommodate a variety of different applications. The MD series was available in 12 or 24 volt DC and AC versions. This Notifier MD-8 is about 50 years old. It still works and it's all normal. So let's run a little demonstration. Right here is a Notifier M-Heart pole station cover, and inside it is a BNG1 pole station. Right here is a heat detector. This is a simplex model, but many companies rebranded this design. Next is a Edwards 6-inch fire bell. Using this in place of this older Notifier Enco bell, which would have been used on this panel. This one doesn't work very well, so using this bell, which sounds a lot better. And this right here is a heat detector that also would have been used on this panel. This is a Notifier heat detector, but this one is permanently activated though, so it's just sitting here for display. So now let's activate the system. This is a very simple non-coded system. So let's start with this pole station. We'll key activate. Bell is silenced. This zone module is indicating an alarm and a trouble. And then the main power module down here is also indicating a trouble. With these older panels, a trouble indicates any abnormal condition. The panel is in alarm, so it's in an abnormal state. So we can close this and then press the reset button up here. Just like that, the panel is back to normal. Now let's activate this heat detector. Silenced again. Now this zone is an alarm. With the door closed, there's actually labels. So this was used in a 4-floor building, it seems. And then the trouble and system normal indicator, which in this case it says OK. Now with systems like this, a subsequent alarm doesn't re-alarm the system. So if you press this test button, it lights up that zone, but the bell doesn't sound again. Likewise, each row has a silence and a reset button, but they only apply to that row. So if you were to press the reset button down here, nothing happens. So we had to press this one. And that resets the entire system. The Notifier mini fridge used the same style cabinet throughout most of its lifespan. This particular design has 3 rows for modules. For this one though, the bottom row is being used for the power supply. And there were some minor variations, but the general design remained the same. Take a look inside the panel. At the bottom left here is the power supply. It converts 120 volts AC to 24 volts DC for the system. And then we have 2 rows, which can hold up to 4 modules each. And they also have terminal blocks, and depending on what modules are installed, affects what wiring goes within these terminal blocks. Each row is interconnected with 5 wires on the right side of each terminal block, with each module having 4 terminal blocks each. Right here is the P33V-24 power module. This is basically the main component for the entire system. It distributes power and also provides general power and trouble indicators. There's an internal buzzer inside this module, which sounds for any trouble conditions. And it did sound during any alarm condition in the demonstration. Right here is an A22S-24 signal module. This provides power for notification appliances. And unlike a lot of modern fire alarm panels which supervise with an end-of-line resistor, this module supervises with continuity. If there's any break or open in the circuit, then it indicates a trouble. Under normal conditions, this module sends a very small amount of current through the signal circuit. It's not enough to activate this bell, but enough to supervise the circuit. Then in alarm, the module sends full current, which can sound the bells. Some newer signals that draw very little current, like LED strobes, may continue to flash even under normal conditions. For this module, when it's active, the red lamp activates and then the amber one activates for troubles. although on this particular module, its lamps are burnt out, but that doesn't affect the system. At the top row are all S22L-24 input modules. These are the alarm zones. Each one of these is supervised with an end-of-line resistor, but these can also be wired Class A. Each module has its own alarm and trouble indicators. Any troubles will trigger the main power module's internal buzzer and trouble lamp, and any alarms will activate outputs, like this signal module. In the middle here are 2 empty slots. Any module that's compatible with this 24-volt power module can be used on this system. These can include coder modules, reverse polarity city box modules, relay modules, and many other components. And that is it for the Notifier MD-8. These panels have been discontinued for a few decades now. Their most immediate successors would have been solid-state based panels like the 4800 and 4885 series, or early microprocessor-based panels like the CMS100 and SES200. Based on some online discussions, these panels are still in active service in some parts of the world, but otherwise have been largely forgotten. Vintage Notifier panels, especially from the MHART era, are very rare. So if you do happen to acquire one of these panels, not only would you have an excellent museum piece, but also a very sturdy and flexible fire alarm control panel. Relay-based fire alarm panels like the Notifier mini fridge don't rely on the CPU or other sensitive electrical components that can degrade due to age or environmental factors. The smaller components on this panel, like the incandescent lamps and fuses, are easily replaceable, even today. And with the modules being plug-in type, this panel is easy to repair and customize, assuming you can still find the modules. In any case, if you have any questions or comments on the mini fridge, feel free to post them below. But until next time, have a nice day.